last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again. It seemed to me I stood by the iron gate leading to the drive, and for a while I could not enter, for the way was barred to me. Then, like all dreamers, I was possessed of a sudden with supernatural powers and passed like a spirit through the barrier before me. The drive wound away in front of me, twisting and turning as it had always done. But as I advanced, I was aware that a change had come upon it. Nature had come into her own again, and little by little had encroached upon the drive with long, tenacious fingers. On and on wound the poor thread that had once been our drive. And finally, there was Manderley. Manderley, secretive and silent. Time could not mar the perfect symmetry of those walls. Moonlight can play odd tricks upon the fancy, and suddenly it seemed to me that light came from the windows. And then a cloud came upon the moon and hovered an instant like a dark hand before a face. The illusion went with it. I looked upon a desolate shell with no whisper of the past about its staring walls. We can never go back to Manderley again. That much is certain. But sometimes, in my dreams, I do go back to the strange days of my life, which began for me in the south of France.
What the devil are you shouting about? Who are you? What are you staring at?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stare, but I only thought...
Oh, you did it. Well, what are you doing here?
I was only walking.
Well, get on with your walking. Don't hang about here screaming.
I'll never come to Monte Carlo out of season again. Not a single well-known personality in the hotel. Stone cold. Waiter, garçon, call him. Tell him to get me some... Why, it's Max de Winter. How do you do?
How do you do?
I'm Edith Van Hopper. It's so nice to run into you here, just when I was beginning to despair of finding any old friends here in Monte. But do sit down and have some coffee. Mr. De Winter's having some coffee with me. Go and ask the stupid waiter for another cup.
I'm afraid I must contradict you. You shall both have coffee with me. Garçon, give me some coffee, please.
Cigarette?
No, thank you.
You know, I recognized you just as soon as you came in, though I haven't seen you since that night at the casino at Palm Beach. Perhaps you don't remember an old woman like me. Are you playing the tables much here at Monte?
No, I'm afraid that sort of thing ceased to amuse me years ago.
I can well understand that. As for me, if I had a home like Manderley, I should certainly never come to Monte. I hear it's one of the biggest places in that part of the country, and you just can't beat it for beauty.
What do you think of Monte Carlo? Or don't you think of it at all?
Oh, well, I think it's rather artificial.
She's spoiled, Mr. DeWitt. That's her trouble. Most girls will give their eyes for a chance to see Monte.
Wouldn't that rather defeat the purpose?
Now that we've found each other again, I hope I shall see something of you. You must come and have a drink in my suite. I hope they've given you a good room. The place is empty, so if you're uncomfortable, mind you make a fuss. Your valet is unpacked for you, I suppose.
I'm afraid I don't possess one. Perhaps you'd like to do it for me.
Well, I hardly think... perhaps you could make yourself useful to Mr. DeWitt if he wants anything done. You're a capable child in many ways.
That's a charming suggestion, but I'm afraid I cling to the old motto. He travels fastest who travels alone. Perhaps you've not heard of it. Good night.
What do you make of that? Do you suppose that sudden departure was intended to be funny? Come, don't sit there gawking. Let's go upstairs. Have you got the key?
Yes, Mrs. Van Hoppen.
I remember when I was younger, there was a well-known writer who used to dart down the back way whenever he saw me coming. I suppose he was in love with me and wasn't quite sure of himself. Well, c'est la vie. By the way, my dear, don't think that I mean to be unkind, but you were just a teeny-weeny bit forward with Mr. De Winter. Your effort to enter the conversation quite embarrassed me, and I'm sure it did him. Men loathe that sort of thing. Oh, come, don't sulk. After all, I am responsible for your behavior here. Perhaps he didn't notice it. Poor thing. I suppose he just can't get over his wife's death. They say he simply adored her.
Louis, prenez la commande.
Oh, how awkward of me. What a stupid thing to do. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please don't bother. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, leave that, leave that. Go and lay another place at my table. Mademoiselle will have lunch with me.
Oh, but I couldn't possibly.
Why not?
Oh, well, please don't be polite. It's very kind of you, but I'll be all right if they just change the cloth.
I wasn't being polite. I should have asked you to have lunch with me, even if we hadn't upset the bars so clumsily. Come along. We needn't talk to each other if we don't feel like it.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, I'll just have some scrambled eggs.
Oui, mademoiselle. What's happened to your friend?
Oh, she's ill in bed with a cold.
I'm sorry I was so rude to you yesterday. The only excuse I can offer is that I've become boorish through living alone.
You weren't really. You simply wanted to be alone and...
Tell me, is Mrs. Van Hopper a friend of yours or just a relation?
No, she's my employer. I'm what is known as a paid companion.
I didn't know companionship could be bought.
I looked up the word companion in the dictionary once. It said, a friend of the bosom.
I don't envy you the privilege.
Well, she's very kind, really, and I have to earn my living.
Haven't you any family?
No, my mother died years and years ago, and then there was only my father, and he died last summer. And then I took this job.
How rotten for you.
Yes, it was rather, because, you see, we got on so well together.
You and your father?
Yes, he was a lovely person, very unusual.
What was he?
A painter.
Ah, was he a good one?
Well, I thought so, but people didn't understand him.
Yes, that's often the trouble.
He painted trees. At least it was one tree.
You mean he painted the same tree over and over again?
Yes, you see, he had a theory that if you should find one perfect thing or place or person, you should stick to it. Do you think that's very silly?
Not at all. I'm a firm believer in that myself. And what did you find to do with yourself while he was painting his tree?
Well, I sat with him and I sketched a little. I don't do it very well, though.
Were you going sketching this afternoon?
Yes.
Where?
Oh, I haven't made up my mind.
I'll drive you somewhere in the car.
Oh, no, please, I didn't mean...
Oh, nonsense. Finish up that mess and we'll get along.
Thank you. It's very kind of you, but I'm not very hungry.
Oh, come on. Eat it up like a good girl. You've taken long enough for that sketch. I shall expect a really fine work of art.
Oh, no, don't look at it. It's not nearly good enough.
Well, it can't be as bad as all that. Now, don't rub it all out. Let me see it first.
Well, it's the perspective. I never can get it right.
Let me see. Oh, dear. Tell me, is it the perspective that gives my nose that curious twist in the middle?
Well, you're not a very easy subject to sketch. Your expression keeps changing all the time.
Does it? Well, I'd concentrate on the view instead if I were you. Much more worthwhile. Rather reminds me of our coastline at home. Do you know Cornwall at all?
Yes, I went there once with my father on holiday. I was in a shop once, and I saw a postcard with a beautiful house on it right by the sea. And I asked whose house it was, and the old lady said, that's Mandalay. I felt ashamed for not knowing.
And Mandalay is beautiful. To me, it's just the place where I was born. I've lived in all my life. Now, I don't suppose I shall ever see it again.
We're lucky not to be home during the bad weather, aren't we? I can't ever remember enjoying swimming in England till June, can you? The water's so warm here that I could stay in all day. There's a dangerous undertow, and there's a man drowned here last year. I never have any fear of drowning, have you?
Come, I'll take you home.
Oh, yes. I know Mr. DeWitt well. I knew his wife, too. Before she married, she was the beautiful Rebecca Hildreth, you know. She was drowned, poor dear, while she was sailing near Mandalay. He never talks about it, of course, but he's a broken man. I suppose I'd better have it. Wretched stuff. Give me a chocolate, quick. Oh, there you are. It's about time. Hurry up. I want to play some rummy. She was the beautiful Rebecca Hildreth, you know. They say he simply adored her. She was the beautiful Rebecca Hildreth, you know. I suppose he just can't get over his wife's death. She was the beautiful Rebecca Hildreth, you know. But he's a broken man.
What's up?
Well, where are you going?
Oh, I thought I'd take a tennis lesson.
I see. I suppose you've had a look at the pro, and he's desperately handsome, and you've conceived a schoolgirl crush on him. All right, go ahead, make the most of it.
Off duty?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Van Hopper's cold's turned into flu, so she's got a trained nurse.
I'm sorry for the nurse. You keen on tennis?
No, not particularly.
That's good. We'll go for a drive.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Van Hopper. How are you feeling?
You got on rather well with him, didn't you? That pro must have been teaching you other things than tennis. Hurry up, I want you to make some calls. Wonder if Mr. DeWitt is still in the hotel.
May I go now?
For the number of lessons you've had, you ought to be ready for Wimbledon. But this will be your last, so make the most of it. Trouble is, with me laid up like this, you haven't had enough to do. But I'm getting rid of that nurse today, and from now on, you'll stick to your job.
Yes, Mrs. Van Hopper.
Nurse,
Yes, Miss Van Hopper?
are you absolutely sure you left those messages for Mr. De Winter?
Why, yes, madame.
I simply can't believe it. He would most certainly have called me back. Oh, well, poor boy. I simply hate to see him so alone.
You know, I wish there could be an invention that bottled up the memory like perfume, and it never faded, never got stale. And then whenever I wanted to, I could uncork the bottle and live the memory all over again.
And what particular moment in your young life would you want to keep?
Oh, all of them. All these last few days. I feel as though I'd collected a whole shelf full of bottles.
Sometimes, you know, those little bottles contain demons that have a way of popping out at you just as you're trying most desperately to forget. Stop biting your nails.
Oh, I wish I were a woman of 36, dressed in black satin with a string of pearls.
You wouldn't be here with me if you were.
Would you please tell me, Mr. De Winter, why you asked me to come out with you? Well, it's obvious that you want to be kind, but why do you choose me for your charity?
I asked you to come out with me because I wanted your company. You've blotted out the past for me more than all the bright lights of Monte Carlo. But if you think I just asked you out of kindness or charity, you can leave the car now and find your own way home. Go on, open the door and get out. Better blow your nose. Please don't call me Mr. De Winter. I've a very impressive array of first names. George Fortescue Maximilian. But you needn't bother with them all at once. My family call me Maxim. And another thing. Please promise me never to wear black satin or pearls. Or to be 36 years old.
Yes, Maxim.
For the love of Pete, come here. What do you think? My daughter's engaged to be married.
Oh, really? How nice.
We must leave for New York at once. Get reservations on the Aquitania, and we'll take the 12:30 train for Cherbourg. Hurry up and get in a maid to help with the packing. We've no time to waste. Go on and do dawdle.
Mr. De Winter, please. Oh, he's gone out riding. He won't be back till noon. Oh. Well, give me the porter, please. I'll go and see if there's anything left in my room. Has Mr. De Winter come in yet? Oh, he has. Would you connect me, please? Oh, I was looking for my book. I suppose I've packed it.
Well, come on. The car's waiting at the door.
I'd like to leave a forwarding address if they happen to find that book. Would you ring Mr. De Winter, please?
Yes, madame. 182. There isn't any answer.
Thank you.
Tell her to hurry up.
Yes, madame.
I was looking for Mr. De Winter.
Mr. De Winter just ordered breakfast in his room, mademoiselle.
Come in. Hello. What are you doing here? Anything the matter?
I've come to say goodbye. We're going away.
What on earth are you talking about?
It's true, we're going now, and I was afraid I wouldn't see you again.
Where's she taking you to?
New York. I don't want to go. I shall hate it. I shall be miserable.
I'll dress in here. I shan't be long. Which would you prefer? New York or Mandalay?
Oh, please don't joke about it. Mrs. Van Hopper's waiting, and I'd better say goodbye now.
I repeat what I said. Either you go to America with Mrs. Van Hopper, or you come home to Mandalay with me.
You mean you want a secretary or something?
I'm asking you to marry me, you little fool. Come in.
Is that my food? I'm famished. I didn't have any breakfast.
My suggestion didn't seem to go at all well. Sorry.
Oh, but you don't understand. It's that well, I'm not the sort of person men marry.
What on earth do you mean?
I don't belong in your sort of world, for one thing.
Well, what is my sort of world?
Oh, well, Mandolin, you know what I mean.
Well, I'm the best judge of whether you belong there or not. Of course, if you don't love me, that's a different thing. Fine blow to my conceit, that's all.
Oh, I do love you. I love you most dreadfully. I've been crying all morning because I thought I'd never see you again.
Bless you for that. I'll remind you of this one day. You won't believe me. It's a pity you have to grow up. Oh, now that's settled. You may pour me out some coffee. 2 lumps of sugar and some milk, please. Same with my tea, don't forget. Who's going to break the news to Mrs. Van Hopper? Shall you or shall I?
Oh, you tell it. She'll be so angry.
What's the number of her room?
Oh, she's not there. She's downstairs in the car.
Hello? Give him the date, please. Hello? You'll find Mrs. Van Hopper waiting outside in her car. Would you ask her with my compliments if she'd very kindly come up and see me in my room? Yes, in my room.
Mr. De Winter says, please, for you to come up to his room.
Mr. De Winter? Why, certainly.
This isn't at all your idea of a proposal, is it? It should be in a conservatory. You in a white frock with a red rose in your hand, and a violin playing in the distance, and I should be making violent love to you behind a palm tree. Poor darling. Never mind.
Oh, I don't mind.
Don't worry, don't worry. You won't have to say a word.
I'm so glad you called me, Mr. De Winter. I was making a hasty departure. It was so rude of me not to let you know. But a cable came this morning announcing that my daughter is engaged to be married.
That's rather a coincidence, Mrs. Van Hopper. I asked you up here in order to tell you of my engagement.
You don't mean it? Oh, how perfectly wonderful. How romantic. Who is the lucky lady?
I apologize for depriving you of your companion in this abrupt way. I do hope it won't inconvenience you too greatly.
When did all this happen?
Just now, Mrs. Van Hopper. Just a few minutes ago.
I simply can't believe it. And I suppose I ought to scold you for not having breathed a word of all of this to me. What am I thinking of? I shall give you both my congratulations and my blessings. I'm very happy for you both. When and where is the wedding to be?
Here, as soon as possible.
A whirlwind romance. Splendid. I could easily postpone my sailing for a week. This poor child has no mother, so I shall take responsibility for all the arrangements. Trousseau, reception, and everything, and I'll give the bride away. When I luggage, go down and tell the porter to take everything out of the car.
Just a minute. We're most grateful, Mrs. Van Hopper, but I think we'd both prefer to have it all as quiet as possible. And I couldn't possibly allow you to change your sailing plans.
Oh, but...
No. Dear, I'll go down and see that your luggage is brought back.
Thank you, Max.
So this is what's been happening during my illness. Tennis lessons, my foot. I suppose I have to hand it to you for a fast worker. How did you manage it? Still waters certainly run deep. Tell me, have you been doing anything you shouldn't?
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, well, never mind. I always did say that Englishmen have strange tastes. But you certainly have your work cut out as mistress of Mandalay. To be perfectly frank with you, my dear, I can't see you doing it. You haven't the experience. You haven't the faintest idea of what it means to be a great lady. Of course, you know why he's marrying you, don't you? You haven't flattered yourself that he's in love with you. Fact is, that empty house got on his nerves to such an extent, he nearly went off his head. He just couldn't go on living alone.
You better leave, Mrs. Van Hopper. You'll miss your train.
Mrs. De Winter. Goodbye, my dear, and good luck.
Monsieur, vous avez oublié votre carnet de mariage.
Oh, he says I've forgotten the proof that we're married.
Oh, good heavens.
Somebody else had the same idea.
Isn't she sweet?
Yes. You'd have liked a bridal veil, wouldn't you? Or at least... Madame, combien ça fait? Tu le tout. Je vous remercie. Yes.
Oh, Max, you're lovely. Oh, how perfectly lovely. Oh, perfectly lovely.
Welcome home, Mr. De Winter.
Thank you, Smith. Cold, darling?
Yes, just a little bit.
There's no need to be frightened, you know. Just be yourself and they'll all adore you. You don't have to worry about the house at all. Mrs. Danvers is the housekeeper. Just leave it to her. Hello. Starting to rain. Better hurry up. Here, have this. Put it over your head.
Thank you.
That's it. That's Manderley.
Here we are, Fritz. Everybody well?
Yes, thank you, sir. We're glad to see you home, sir.
This is Mrs. De Winter, Fritz.
How do you do?
I didn't expect the whole staff to be in attendance.
Miss Danvers' orders, sir.
Oh. Sorry about this. Won't take long. This is Mrs. Danvers.
How do you do?
How do you do? I have everything in readiness for you.
That's very good of you. I didn't expect anything.
I think we'd like some tea, Fritz.
Ready in the library, sir.
Come along, darling.
Oh, Maxim, come in. Oh, good evening, Mrs. Danvers.
Good evening, madam. I hope Alice was satisfactory, madam.
Oh, yes, thank you. Perfectly.
She's the parlor maid. She'll have to look after you until your own maid arrives.
Oh, but I haven't a maid. I'm sure Alice will do very nicely.
I'm afraid that would not do for very long, madam. It's usual for ladies in your position to have a personal maid. I hope you approve the new decoration of these rooms, madam.
Oh, I didn't know it'd been changed. I hope you haven't been to too much trouble.
I only followed out Mr. De Winter's instructions.
Oh, well, what did it look like before?
It had an old paper and different hangings. It was never used much, except for occasional visitors.
Oh, then it wasn't Mr. De Winter's room originally.
No, madam. He's never used the east wing before. Of course, there's no view of the sea from here. The only good view of the sea is from the west wing.
The room's very charming, and I'm sure I'll be comfortable.
If there's anything you want done, madam, you have only to tell me.
I suppose you've been at Manderley for many years, longer than anyone else.
Not so long as Frith. He was here when the old gentleman was living, when Mr. De Winter was a boy.
Oh, I see, and you didn't come till after that.
I came here when the first Mrs. De Winter was a bride.
Mrs. Danvers, I do hope we'll be friends. You must be patient with me. This sort of life is new to me, and I do want to make a success of it and make Mr. De Winter happy, so I know I can leave all the household arrangements to you.
Very well. I hope I shall do everything to your satisfaction, madam. I've managed the house since Mrs. De Winter's death, and Mr. De Winter has never complained.
I think I'll go downstairs now.
That room in the west wing I was telling you about is there through that door. It's not used now. It's the most beautiful room in the house. The only one that looks down across the lawns to the sea. It was Mrs. De Winter's room.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're Mrs. De Winter, aren't you?
Yes.
My name's Crawley. I manage the estate for Maxim. Awfully glad to meet you. There's a fearful lot of stuff piled up while Maxim was away.
Yes, I'm sure there must have been. I do wish I could help with some of it.
No, no. Frank never allows anybody to help him. He's like an old mother hen with his bills and rents and taxes. Come on, Frank, we must go over these estimates.
I'll get my papers.
You'll find quantities of breakfast over there, but you must eat it all or Cook will be mortally offended.
Well, I'll do my best, Maxim.
I have to go over the place with Frank just to make sure that he hasn't lost any of it. You'll be all right, won't you? Mm-hmm. Getting acquainted with your new home.
Have a look at the Times. There's a thrilling article on what's the matter with English cricket.
Oh, yes. My sister Beatrice and her husband, Giles Lacey, have invited themselves over for lunch.
Today?
Yes. I suppose the old girl can't wait to look you over. You'll find her very direct.
If she doesn't like you, she'll probably tell you so to your face. Don't worry, darling. I'll be back in time to protect you from her. Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, Maxim.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
morning, madam.
Good morning, Frith.
Isn't there anything I could get for you, madam?
Oh, no, thank you, Frith. I'm really not very hungry. Thank you.
The paper, madam.
Oh, yes, thank you, Frith.
Madam.
I slipped. Oh, thank you, Frith. It's big, isn't it?
Yes, madam. Mandalay is a big place. This was the banquet hall in the old days. It is still used on great occasions, such as a big dinner or a ball. And the public is admitted here, you know, once a week.
That's nice.
I beg pardon, madam. I'm afraid the fire is not usually lit in the library until the afternoon, but you'll find one in the morning room. Of course, if you wish this fire lit now, madam.
Oh, no, Frith, I wouldn't dream.
Mrs. De Winter, I mean the late Mrs. De Winter always did her correspondence and telephoning in the morning room after breakfast.
Thank you, Frith.
Is anything wrong, madam?
Oh, no. Which way is the morning room?
Oh, it's that door there, on the left.
Oh, yes, thank you. Mrs. De Winter? Oh, I'm afraid you've made a mistake. Mrs. De Winter's been dead for over a year. Oh, I mean...
Oh. That was the house telephone, madam. Probably the head gardener wishing instructions.
Did you want to see me, Mrs. Danvers?
Mr. De Winter informed me that his sister, Mrs. Lacey, and Major Lacey are expected for luncheon. I'd like to know if you approve of the menu.
Oh, well, I'm sure it's very suitable, very nice indeed.
You'll notice, madam, that I've left a blank space for the sauce. Mrs. De Winter was most particular about sauces.
Let's have whatever you think that Mrs. De Winter would have ordered.
Thank you, madam. When you've finished your letters, Robert will take them to the post.
My letters? Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Mrs. Danvers.
How are you, Frith?
Good morning, Mrs. Lacey.
Where's Mr. De Winter?
I believe he went down to the farm with Mr. Crawley.
How tiresome of him not to be here when we arrive, and how typical. I must say old Danvers keeps the house looking lovely. She certainly learnt that trick of arranging flowers from Rebecca.
I wonder how she likes it now, being ordered about by an ex-chorus girl.
Now, where on earth did you get the idea she's an ex-chorus girl?
He picked her up in the south of France, didn't he?
What if he did?
Well, I mean to say, there you are.
How do you do? I'm Maxim's wife.
How do you do? Well, I must say you're quite different from what I expected.
Oh, but Cecilia, she's exactly what I told you she'd be. Well, how do you like Mandela?
Very beautiful, isn't it?
And how do you get along with Mrs. Danvers?
Well, I've never met anyone quite like her before.
You mean she scares you? She's not exactly an oil painting, is she?
Giles, you're very much in the way here. Go somewhere else.
Well, I'll try and find Maxim, shall I?
Giles?
I didn't mean to say anything against Mrs. Danvers.
Oh, there's no need for you to be frightened of her. But I shouldn't have any more to do with her than you can help. Shall we sit down?
Oh, yes, please.
You see, she's bound to be insanely jealous at first. And she must resent you bitterly.
Why should she?
Don't you know? I should have thought Maxim would have told you. She simply adored Rebecca. How are you, Robert?
Quite well, thank you, madam.
Still having trouble with your teeth?
Unfortunately, yes, madam.
You should have them out. All of them. Wretched nuisances, teeth.
Thank you, madam.
A plateful.
Do you hunt?
No, I don't. I'm afraid I don't even ride.
Oh, have to ride down here. We all do. Which do you ride, side saddle or astride? Oh, yes, of course, I forgot you don't, do you? You must. Nothing else to do down here.
Maxim, when are you going to have parties here again, like the old days?
Oh, I haven't thought about it.
But everyone's dying to see you, and...
Yes, I bet they are.
Why don't you have the masquerade ball again this summer? My dear, are you fond of dancing?
Well, I love it, but I'm not very good at it.
Do you rumble?
I've never tried.
You must teach me. I say, well, I'm trying to find out exactly what your wife does do.
She sketches a little.
Sketches? Well, not this modern stuff, I hope. You know, portrait of a lampshade upside down to represent a soul in torment. Don't sail, do you?
No, I don't.
Thank goodness for that. Huh?
You're very much in love with Maxim, aren't you? Yes, I can see you are. Don't mind my saying so, but why don't you do something about your hair? Why don't you have it cut or sweep it back behind your ears? Oh, no, that's worse. What does Maxim say about it? Does he like it like that?
Well, he never mentions it.
Oh, well, don't go by me. I can see by the way you dress you don't care a hoot how you look. But I wonder Maxim hasn't been at you. He's so particular about clothes.
I don't think he ever notices what I wear.
Oh, well, he must have changed a lot then. You mustn't worry about old Maxim and his moods. One never knows what goes on in that quiet mind of his. Often he gets into a terrible rage. And when he does... But I don't suppose he'll lose his temper with you. You seem such a placid little thing.
Come on, old girl. We've got to be on the first tee at 3 o'clock.
All right, I'm coming.
Oh, goodbye, Maxim, old boy.
Goodbye, Giles. Thanks for coming, old boy.
Goodbye, my dear. Forgive me for asking you so many rude questions. We both really hope you'll be very happy.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you very much.
And I must congratulate you upon the way Maxim looks. We were very worried about him this time last year. But then, of course, you know the whole story.
Goodbye, Beatrice, darling.
Goodbye, boy. Of course, there is.
Well, thank heavens they've gone. Now we can have a walk about the place. Looks as though we might have a shower, but you won't mind that, will you?
No, but wait a minute. I'll go upstairs and get a coat.
There's a heap of Macintoshes in the flower room. Robert, run and get a coat from the flower room for Mrs. De Winter, will you? What do you think of Beatrice?
Oh, I liked her very much, but she kept saying that I was quite different from what she expected.
What the devil did she expect?
Oh, someone smarter and more sophisticated, I'm afraid.
Oh.
Do you like my hair?
Your hair? Yes, of course I do. What's the matter with it?
Oh, I don't know. I just wondered.
How funny you are. Thank you.
Do I have to put it on?
Yes, certainly. Can't be too careful with children.
Come on, Jasper. Come and take some of that fat off.
Jasper! Here, not that way. Come here.
Where does that lead to?
Oh, it leads to a little cove where we used to keep a boat.
Oh, let's go down there.
Well, no, it's a perfectly dull, uninteresting stretch of sand, just like any other.
Oh, please.
Well, all right, we'll walk down and take a look if you really want to.
That's Jasper. There must be something wrong. Perhaps he's hurt himself.
No, he's all right. Leave him alone.
Don't you think I'd better go and see?
Don't bother about him, I tell you. He can't come to any harm. He'll find his own way back.
Jasper! Jasper! Oh, there you are. What do you want in there, Jasper? Come on. Come on. Let's go home. Jasper! Oh. I didn't know that there was anybody.
I know that dog. He comes for the house. He ain't yours.
No, he's Mr. De Winter's dog. Have you anything I could tie him with?
Tell anyone you saw me in there, will you?
Don't you belong on the estate?
I wasn't doing nothing. I was just putting my shells away. She's gone in the sea, ain't she? She'll never come back no more.
No, she'll never come back. Come on, Jasper. What's the matter? Maxim! I'm sorry I was such a time, but I had to find a rope for Jasper.
Hurry up, Jasper, for heaven's sake.
Please wait for me. Maxim, what is it? You look so angry.
You knew I didn't want you to go there, but you deliberately went.
Why not? There was only a cottage down there and a strange man who was...
You didn't go into the cottage, did you?
Yes, the door.
Well, don't go there again, do you hear?
Why not?
Because I hate the place, and if you had my memories, you wouldn't go there or talk about it or even think about it.
What's the matter? Oh, I'm sorry, please.
We should have stayed away. We should never have come back to Mandalay. Oh, what a fool I was.
I made you unhappy. Somehow I've hurt you. Oh, I can't bear to see you like this. Because I love you so much.
Do you? Do you? Ah, I've made you cry. Forgive me. I sometimes seem to fly off the handle for no reason at all. Don't I? Come. We go home and have some tea and forget all about it.
Yes, let's forget all about it.
Here, let me have Jasper.
Hello, come in.
Oh, please don't get up, Mr. Crawley. I was just wondering if you meant what you said the other day about showing me the run of things.
Of course I did.
What are you doing now?
Notifying all the tenants in the celebration of Maxim's return with his bride, this week's rent will be free.
Oh, was that Maxim's idea?
Oh, yes. All the servants get an extra week's wages, too.
Oh, he didn't tell me. Can't I help you? I could at least stick the stamps.
Well, that's terribly nice of you. Won't you sit down?
Oh, yes, thank you. I was down at the cottage on the beach the other day. There was a man there, a queer sort of person. Jasper kept barking at him.
Oh, yeah. Must have been Ben. Excuse me. He's quite harmless. We give him odd jobs now and then.
That cottage place seemed to be going to rack and ruin. Why isn't something done about it?
Well, I think if Maxim wanted anything done about it, he'd tell me.
Are those all Rebecca's things down there?
Yes. Yes, they are.
What did she use the cottage for?
The boat used to be moored near there.
What boat? What happened to it? Was that the boat she was sailing in when she was drowned?
Yes. Capsized and sank. She was washed overboard.
Wasn't she afraid to go out like that alone?
She wasn't afraid of anything.
Where did they find her?
Near Edgecombe. About 40 miles up channel, about 2 months afterwards. Maxim went up to identify her. It was horrible for him.
Yes, it must have been. Mr. Crawley, please don't think me morbidly curious. It isn't that. It's just that I feel at such a disadvantage. All the time, whenever I meet anyone, Maxim's sister or even the servants, I know they're all thinking the same thing. They're all comparing me with her, with Rebecca.
Oh, you mustn't think that. I can't tell you how glad I am that you married Maxim. It's going to make all the difference to his life. And from my point of view, it's very refreshing to find someone like yourself who's not entirely in tune, shall we say, with Manderley.
That's very sweet of you. I dare say I've been stupid, but every day I realize the things that she had and that I lacked. Beauty and wit and intelligence and all the things that are so important in a woman.
You have qualities that are just as important. More important, if I may say so. Kindness and sincerity and, if you'll forgive me, modesty mean more to a husband than all the wit and beauty in the world. We none of us want to live in the past. Maxim least of all. It's up to you, you know, to lead us away from it.
I promise you I won't bring this up again, but before we end this conversation, would you answer just one more question?
If it's something I'm able to answer, I'll do my best.
Tell me, what was Rebecca really like?
I suppose she was the most beautiful creature I ever saw.